More than 200,000 people have fled from their homes in northern Syria as fighting intensifies over the country's last rebel stronghold. Syrian government forces allied with Russia and Iran have been bombarding the Idlib province since late November. More than 250 civilians have been killed in the attacks. The violence comes months after President Trump abruptly drew down U.S. troops from the region. Mr. Trump issued a warning against the Syrian regime Thursday. In a tweet, he said, quote, Russia, Syria, and Iran are killing or on their way to killing thousands of innocent civilians in Idlib province. Don't do it. Turkey is working hard to stop this carnage. For more, let's bring in Benim Ben Taleblu. He's a senior fellow at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. Benim, thank you for being with us. First, let's start out by reminding us of the history of violence here in the Idlib province. And is there anything that might put a pause to it?
We're starting off with chilling new details that have emerged about the conduct of the Navy SEAL who was accused of war crimes. Confidential footage obtained by the New York Times shows members of SEAL Team 7 being interviewed about the accusations against their platoon leader, Special Operations Chief Edward Gallagher. He faced nearly a dozen charges, including allegedly murdering a teen member of ISIS. CBS News national security correspondent David Martin has been covering the case.
I think he's just wants to kill anybody he can.
Dark testimony from members of SEAL Team 7 paint a chilling picture of violence by their platoon chief.
Did he say anything when he did this, or did he just literally pull out a knife and just start stabbing him?
He just pulled out a knife and started stabbing him.
The evidence obtained by the New York Times was part of a war crimes investigation into Edward Gallagher, a decorated Navy SEAL who was accused of fatally stabbing a young ISIS prisoner. It includes never-before-seen body cam footage in which you see Gallagher over the limp ISIS fighter's body before the camera is switched off.
Did you interpret him as a threat at any point when Gallagher stabbed him?
I did not, no.
Okay. Is there any doubt in your mind that these are war crimes?
No.
Corey Scott, whose testimony in court was crucial to Gallagher's acquittal, was also interviewed.
Did he do anything that could be interpreted as lunging, attacking Eddie in any way that would justify it?
No.
But on the stand, and after being given full immunity, Scott took the fall for the boy's death.
They tried to frame me as a criminal from the get-go.
In July, Gallagher was demoted after a military jury convicted him of posing.
Meanwhile, the New York Times has obtained never-before-seen confidential video from the war crimes investigation into former Navy SEAL Edward Gallagher. Members of SEAL Team 7 were interviewed about the accusations against Gallagher. He faced nearly a dozen charges, including allegedly murdering a teenage member of ISIS. David Martin has more on what members of Gallagher's team told investigators.
I think he's just wants to kill anybody he can.
Dark testimony from members of SEAL Team 7 paint a chilling picture of violence by their platoon chief.
Did he say anything when he did this, or did he just literally pull out a knife and just start stabbing him?
He just pulled out a knife and started stabbing him.
The evidence obtained by the New York Times was part of a war crimes investigation into Edward Gallagher, a decorated Navy SEAL who was accused of fatally stabbing a young ISIS prisoner. It includes never-before-seen body cam footage in which you see Gallagher over the limp ISIS fighter.
Meanwhile,
oh my God, this is sick. Elizabeth Warren hits a new rock bottom and finds a new lower way to smear President Trump. I'm Josh Bernstein filling in for Gary Franchi in the Next News Network. Now, before I get to the story, folks, remember Next News is being heavily censored, been taken out of suggested videos. So please do us all a favor. Make sure you're still subscribed, you're getting your notifications. And of course, if you're new to the channel, please check out the newsletter in the description below. Now, let's get to your story here. According to Pam Key from Breitbart Reports, during an interview with CNN on Thursday, 2020 Democratic presidential candidate Senator Elizabeth Warren claimed that President Donald Trump would, quote, step on a cute little kitten to get what he wants. Wow. CNN contributor David Axelrod asked, just about this Biden thing, why do you think the president went to such extraordinary lengths to sully Joe Biden, the lengths that have landed him now in front of you as a juror under impeachment? Why did he feel Biden was such a threatening candidate? Go ahead and roll this clip.
All of it, over and over and over, is about an unwillingness to...
Meanwhile, Vice President Joe Biden would be the oldest person elected president if he's victorious next November. Mayor Pete Buttigieg would be the youngest. Despite their roughly 40-year age difference, the two candidates are locked in a battle for elderly voters in Iowa. The Biden campaign has been working overtime to keep their support in the key early voting state. CBS News campaign reporter Bo Erickson joins me now from Des Moines, Iowa. Thank you so much for being with us, Bo. So let's get started here. How important is it for candidates to win the support of voters over 65, both nationally and in Iowa?
Well, hi, Catherine. You're right. There is a battle brewing for the baby boomer vote here in Iowa between Joe Biden and Mayor Pete Buttigieg. And to answer your question, it is very important that elderly voters show up for these two candidates.